Sometimes after a bad thing happens, there ends up being consequences. We were gaslit by the game's media that Dragon Age the Veilguard was actually a good game, the second coming of Bioware, the true return to form for the studio. It provided everything that us fans and players have been asking for, with worthwhile choices, an engaging story, a new set of characters to get invested in, along with appreciating the old ones, for those of us that actually saw through that nonsense that the media was trying to pull. And that was pretty much most of us. Dragon Age the Veilguard was a complete and utter failure of a game. A game that failed to respect the fans, the franchise, and especially the world that the developers were taking over. We had creatives coming in from other genres and games to come work on this game. One of them was Corinne Busche, and while that doesn't mean that their skills could not then make a good game here, that was not the situation that we had. They failed from the word go. They wanted to tell their story, springboard off what was already created for them, and they just didn't care about how their new way was going to affect what was already there and built from the ground up before they even arrived. But it looked like now that this cost Bioware, EA, the entire game, the sales, the player count, and now it looks like it has now cost Corinne the job of director. So it was reported from another YouTuber, Smash JT, that an insider spoke with him and his group regarding Corinne leaving Bioware and that Bioware Edmonton might actually be closing later this year. He provides some receipts and examples of this. Maybe this is Bioware cleaning house. Maybe, just maybe, this could mean that they want to try and course correct for future projects. Could this mean that the new Mass Effect might actually turn out to be good? I would say if Bioware can focus on having talent that is more interested in making entertainment, rather than pushing their progressive agenda, that would be a good thing. I read that Corinne was very happy with the character of Tosh. This is the one you saw with all the identity-focused storylines. Again, you can have these discussions, but no, when you implement them in such a modern-day kind of way, and disingenuous way, the writing in any of those sequences are the very definition of forced. They don't fit Dragon Age, they're jarring, and most of all, as a player, we just don't want to spend time with this character. I think it's also very telling that based on Corinne's work on this game, that this person is now probably not considered the god or ruler of RPGs, that Corinne once was by another journalist, because it looks like Corinne's either being fired or leaving on their own accord. If Corinne was actually good at making those RPGs, wouldn't Corinne want to stay on to then helm other projects? Wouldn't Bioware want to keep paying Corinne to keep Corinne there? Well, again, it might be too much to hope for. This could end up being a good thing, and now something to pay attention to with Bioware, in that maybe they're trying to have a fresh start. Maybe they want to do better going forward. I want to believe that maybe this could happen. But there's another part of me that thinks we probably need to let the rot leave this company, and I don't know if this entire company is worth saving. As a fan of Bioware, their prior work, and even the prior Dragon Age titles, it absolutely sucks to see something like this happen to a once good to great game series, along with a developer, but now they're put in a position where it is today, and a lot of why they're in this position today is a lot of it rides on Corinne and her failed leadership. Dragon Age had so much potential, more stories to tell, more adventures to go on, even a chance at returning the combat back to how it originally was. It also had an amazing foundation after Origins, so that if you had someone new come in to helm the series, you would look to Origins on what to do next, and figure out how to retain elements that, well, make a Dragon Age game like a Dragon Age game. Previous games were full of great characters. A fan favorite and one of my personal favorites was Varric. He was introduced in Dragon Age 2, and sure, that game was not as good as Origins. It had problems and flaws, but it was still fun, and it especially had some good merits. Varric was easily one of the best things about the game. This best friend character was well written, voice acted, and overall a net positive to the universe. You know how I know this? Because he was brought back in a big capacity for the sequel to Dragon Age with Inquisition. That team was smart. Oh, a beloved character that everyone likes. Okay, let's bring him back. Sounds like an easy win. Guess what? As a fan, I love that. You know what I didn't love? Yes, I'll never let this go. This is like the Joel from The Last of Us Part 2 situation. Corinne and the Veilguard team took Varric, a beloved character, and used him as a means to get cheap emotional response out of the player, especially those new ones. And this was all done in service of that new modern audience that Corinne was going after. Guess what? That new audience did not show up for you. And you know how I know this? Because apparently your game isn't selling so well. And you know what? You were never able to crack a player count close to 100,000 on Steam. even at launch. And Bioware RPGs used to be a big deal, and yet here, I think fans said, I've had enough of this. I bring this all up because Corinne planted these seeds, made choices that were in service of what they wanted to do, rather than what would have worked best for Dragon Age and the established world and cast. Dragon Age was hijacked and disrespected, and I feel no remorse for Corinne not being at Bioware anymore. So it would be one thing if this was all just centered around the leaving of Corinne Busche, but this story got a little bit more interesting and paints a really bad picture of the game's media, and why independent media is a much better option. So the story of Corinne leaving was going around to all of the major outlets. You think that they would then cite and refer to Smash JT for the story, especially since he was the one who broke it. No, they claim that Jeff Grubb is the source of the story, not even acknowledging Smash at all. Look, I don't care what you feel about anyone when it comes to breaking a story. If it's someone you didn't like that broke the story, they still broke the story and they should be credited as such. But it appears that Jeff is then taking credit for the story that Smash broke. This presents a great example of why the mainstream media is to not be trusted anymore. Where's the integrity? I don't see it here. It would appear, just like how I see it, the game's media is one big club, and we are all not in it, and they definitely think they are better than us. And that is no way to treat the people who are essentially your peers within the industry, along with how you are blowing smoke up your readers and your audience. Look, I hope this can help to spread some awareness on this issue, considering what Smash is going through, and I'm not sure what options there are, other than just putting more light on this to show how bad the game's media is acting here. I also look at it like this: how does the game's media expect us gamers to take them seriously going forward? This is not the only example of them doing stuff like this, which is just inappropriate behavior. I look at it if I try to pull something like this with my own audience. That would be a very disingenuous thing to do. Don't do that. I am grateful for the audience I have, and personally on my end, I have been in situations where I talked about something and I was wrong, and my commenters corrected me. I really appreciate that stuff. In the case that I'm wrong, I take the L and then, if I can, correct it, and more importantly, move on and just try to do better from there. In this case, it sounds like Grubb should have corrected his mistake. Or if he did not take credit for this story, then he needs to provide the substantiation so that people can see and hopefully have this issue resolved. But that doesn't seem to be the case here. No one is budging, and the rightful source is not getting the credit that they deserve. The whole thing is a mess. When looking at what happened to Corinne, I think this director should have been pulled from the project long ago, way before they were able to do the damage they did to this brand and franchise, because now Corinne gets to leave. I have no idea where their next job is going to be, but they left Dragon Age in such a state that I think the easiest way to fix it is to just forget it and retcon Veilguard from existence. Pretend like it was just a story that Varric was reading, and then we can all hopefully forget that this was ever a thing to begin with. That's probably the right path to take, but who knows what Bioware is going to do now, and even if they will be able to continue to be around. What are your thoughts on all of this, both the actual story and the situation surrounding it? Let me know all of this in the comments down below. If you're interested in supporting the channel, please check out my Patreon page. For just $1 a month, you can help to keep this channel going strong, and this allows me to be able to do more for my awesome audience. Please check out the links in the description and pinned comment for ways to support the channel. And most of all, thank you very much for watching.